Before these recommendations saw the final shape and form, it went through a very detailed and due process of deliberations. We had roundtables in Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad where we spoke to the stakeholders, and we did not only speak but we heard them. Their suggestions were noted. At quite a few places in the context of the recommendations, they were modified, they were taken care of, and then we indulged into this exercise. As a group, it was a very, very representative group. It was a group which had representatives from the profession. My friend Mr. Naqvi incidentally is not here. He has been with me in this exercise even at the time of the original court, 2002. He played a very important role, and I found him a great helping hand. And this time too, I had the honor of choosing him as a member of this task force. We had a representative from State Bank of Pakistan, Mrs. Lubna Faru. We had a representative from all the 3 stock exchanges. We had private sector representation. We had people like Zafar Khan, who has been in the public sector as the chairman of PIA and PTCL and of course Anglo. And it was a very representative group, and we held almost deliberations for perhaps well over 2.5 years or maybe 2.25 years. And we had numerous meetings. We didn't bulldoze the whole subject and just package something and call it recommendations. We deliberated at length. We discussed every aspect of it, both in the initial stages when we formulated our tentative recommendations, as also when we got the feedback from the various stakeholders. And we did not just rest with that. The roundtables again provide us a very good opportunity. Of course, it was under the auspices of IFC in conjunction with the PICG, and it was a very, very useful exercise. Therefore, when I am standing today before you this evening, I can, I think, with great degree of confidence say that unlike many of the rule-making and regulation-making process which goes in this country, that just comes to you as an SRO or something like that, this is not an SRO. This has emerged out of a process of deliberation. And therefore, I don't say it is a complete exercise, it is a complete, well-packaged thing, it is a perfect thing, but certainly it's a major stride forward on the original recommendations which formed the part of the core in 2002. What I intend to do, in fact, will be breaking for the Maghrib prayers, inshallah, in about 15 minutes' time. So I'll just cover some part of it before that, and later on when we reconvene, we shall be taking that. What I intend to do is I divided our recommendation into certain broad headings. I'll deal with the composition of the board. We have deliberated at length the need for reinforcing the board with independent directors, and I'll have something to share with you on that in terms of why we formulated a particular recommendation. Then we have not simply this time kept it at the principle-based level as to who the independent director is, but we have given an illustrative list also that these are the persons who shall not be deemed to be independent directors. Of course, then we have dealt with the governance structure with regard to the chairman and the CEO being separate, the maximum of directorships, something to do with internal audit, the composition of the audit committee, the role of the audit committee, and one very important recommendation which we should have made and we did try to make in the beginning in 2002, this time we have brought in here for a deliberate purpose and reason, this was not there in 2002, is the HR and Remuneration Committee. Because we are starting off the whole thing in 2002 with altogether a new set of code, which was quite new for many. And at that time it was considered, excuse me, I'll just put off my, even at that time we thought that there should be an HR and Remuneration Committee, but for reasons well thought of, we thought only audit committee should be the beginning point. And time has shown that I think with this 8 years experience, the performance of the audit committee is improving every day. So this HR Remuneration Committee recommendation is a new one which is not there in the earlier code. Then we have certain recommendations with regard to the board evaluation in order to develop and improve the effectiveness of the board. Just a very small recommendation with regard to external audit, and of course the other governance recommendations which I shall unfold before you as we proceed further. As far as the applicability of the code is concerned, let me at the very outset share with you that even at the time of 2002 code, when we were deliberating and exchanging views with the SECP at that time, the views of our group at that time was that apart from listed companies, it should be made applicable to certain other companies as well, which may not be listed, but which are very significant and substantial in their own right. I mean, we deliberated and we discussed and debated this. Why give us a simple good reason why a public sector enterprise, okay, which uses taxpayers' money in a big way because of a variety of factors, as you know, why should not corporate governance code be made applicable to them, notwithstanding the fact that they are not listed companies? So, apart from our main recommendations, in our cover note, we have recommended to the SECP, and I'll deal with that a little later in detail, that there are certain other categories what we call public interest entities, and we are given and propose a definition of that. The code should be made applicable to them as well. I do not know how far SECP will be amenable to this suggestion, how far will be inclined to include this. They might like to go still soft as far as this is concerned. Okay, we deal with the listed companies first, 8 years experience is not all that enough, and then later on maybe. So it's up to them. But as far as our group is concerned, from the PICG's forum, we have recommended that apart from listed companies, serious consideration be given to including public interest entities as well. And I'll share with you later on as to what we mean by that. Now, as you would expect, and as all of us know, that the board of directors in a corporate setup is at the heart of this whole subject of corporate governance. Because what we say, the tone from the top, unless the tone from the top is put right, you cannot expect best practices to be there, you cannot expect the governance to be there. And I would like you, and I'm sure you all of it are aware, but I think it is in the fitness of things if I reiterate, that we need to differentiate between governance and management. And in doing that, it is not only a matter of semantics, it is one and the same. Board of directors is charged with responsibility, conceptually and legally, to govern the company. So we thought, and we gave a great deal of time. Many of the meetings and discussion, a substantial part of the discussion was devoted to this whole subject as to how do we reinforce the board of directors. What should we do to make the directors more responsive to the needs and realities of the present time? Because they are the ones who are in the driving seat, so to say. They are governing the company. And that is what the tone at the top is all that matters. So we thought that we try to reinforce the composition of the board. And in doing that, as you are aware, that right now the code permits that including the CEO, you can have as many as 75% of the board as executive directors. Now obviously executive directors have a very important role to play. They are part of the management. But if you have that higher proportion of executive directors on the board, then what I said a short while ago, that the governance and management, that line is blurred. That particular oversight from the board which should come, they are the ones who are managing the company, and they are the ones who are sitting on the board governing the thing. So that particular kind of intermingling of the roles, experience suggests, makes the board not that all-powerful and all that effective which it ought to be. Under the prudential regulations, those of you who are from the financial services sector are well aware that SVP's prudential regulation permits only maximum of 2 executive directors, including the CEO. But this is peculiar and unique as far as banks and DFIs are concerned. Other than that, most other companies can have as many as 75% of the executive directors. A survey was conducted in 2007, and that survey revealed that 48% responses revealed that no